Hey, what's up, guys? This is Tanner, part of the All You Can Hear podcast. I guess this will be segment 1. This is episode 30 of the All You Can Hear podcast, so go us. And today we are at Scenic City Trios, and it's going to be kind of, if you listen to the SCI episode, it's going to be a lot like that. And we're just going to be talking with, the people of wrestling, wrestlers, promoters, all that good stuff. And with me first, I got Mikey from Black Label Pro. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up? So, pretty much, again, we already explained this, but it's kind of informal. But I really want to ask you some questions about Black Label Pro. And my first question is, what spurred Black Label Pro? Why Black Label Pro? Why? Because I think it's a unique mix of these old WWF guys and WCW guys, and then you also bring in like fresh new talent to go along with it. And what was kind of like your inspiration for that?
Well, first off, I wish you would have told me it was informal. I wouldn't have wore the suit here today.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, we're all wearing bathing suits, aside from Mikey, who's wearing a full-on three-piece, so.
Here, I'm going to loosen my tie. All right, yeah, am I allowed to swear? Or
yes.
Okay. I am just, like, everything is the same old shit. Like, everything is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, you see Sami Callihan on every show.
Yeah.
Every single show. There are 7 guys, maybe 10 guys. They're on every show. And I'm tired of it. And I mainly book people that I want to see personally.
Yeah.
Like, I found a Quebecer on Facebook, and I was like, I want to see him.
Yeah.
So I found him on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
Same with Ernest Miller. I found him on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, God.
And I was
crazy.
like, hey, let's be friends. And I sent that request and sent him messages, and I was like, you should come to my town. It's kind of close to Chicago, and it'll be fun.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Because I totally agree with you. Like, from a fan perspective, I always feel like you see a lot of your same guys on your shows. But like, you're bringing in what I consider big indie names, especially regional. Like, I mean, you've brought in the Carnies on about to be multiple occasions now, and like Dominic Guarini. And I feel like these guys are on the verge, but they're not being booked on your PWGs. Or something that's like, it's not Sami Callihan who's on every show, or somebody else that's on every show. And I like the weird variety. Like, I get an AIW vibe in a big way, but in a good way, because like AIW will bring in like those old guys and mix them with the new guys. I feel like that's what you're doing with a different crop of talent, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, first off, I have told John Thorne of AIW personally, if it wasn't for his podcast, I probably wouldn't be running a company, because I believe in what they do so much.
Yeah.
And there's not enough like that, I think. And then, with guys like Dom and the Carnies, and a lot of the Southern talent, like, no one in the North necessarily believes in them yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
And, like, I do, because, like, I mean, you could just tell that they're dying to go places, and they work so hard. Like, everyone I've brought in has worked so hard for me, and why would they? I mean, they don't know me, but they're working hard for those fans, and now those fans want to keep coming back, and it just, I mean, it's such an easy sell for me as a promoter to bring in guys like that. Like, Gunnar Miller's coming into this next show. He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Fantastic.
The fact that he's not everywhere right now is insane to me.
Yeah.
But he will be soon. Oh, well, of course. I mean, obviously, I believe in AJ Gray. I mean, he just won that second tournament I put on.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic. And I like, just looking at the brackets, I don't think you could have given me 10 chances. I don't think I would have guessed Tom Lawler versus AJ Gray. Like, that's just such a unique direction. I mean, you have Tom Lawler, this former or UFC guy, essentially, that like legitimately kicks people's ass, and you have AJ, who turned 23 just now and like hasn't been wrestling too long, but it's just like a unique mix you wouldn't see anywhere else. Like, no other place is going to book AJ Gray versus Tom Lawler. Like, somebody brings in Tom Lawler, they'll put him, high up. AJ is like still proving himself, does insane batshit stuff on every show he's on, which I'm scared to see what he does tonight. And he's actually going to be on the podcast a little bit later, and I just hope he doesn't flip on the podcast, because I mean, he's a big dude and he's just flipping around and it's crazy. But I mean, that's what I love, and I love how it's a little bit unpredictable. Like, I know you did Lawler versus Riddle, which, again, crazy. I love that match. It's one of my favorite matches of the year, actually. But I don't know if a lot of people are like, oh, wow, the WWN champion just lost in the first round of this tournament to Tom Lawler. But it's legitimate because it's a new place, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I'm just want to do different things.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's like I'm really excited for like our next show is December 1st. It's called First of the Month, like the Bone Thugs and Harmony song.
Yeah.
Essentially, I just blatantly stole it, and it's like it's my first chance to use the two different pools of talent because there was two different rosters on the shows.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe one or two people. Like we had two different tournaments, so now I finally get to mix those rosters, and it's exciting because there's a lot of different guys. It's like, oh my gosh, like as I'm seeing them, work the shows, it's like, oh, they would be good with that other person,
Yeah.
So it's like now I'm finally getting them to mix these guys, and it's exciting and fun.
I mean, it's really exciting from a fan perspective. 'Cause I've been a fan of wrestling for right at 10 years, and like I got into it late compared to a lot of people. I was like 12 when I got into it, so
You're 22?
I turn 22 next month.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were like 40.
What? Hold on. Let's hold on just a second. But yeah,
Maybe he actually is.
I actually am 40. I was born in the 70s. But no, it's really exciting to see those new promotions. And like I even feel like AIW sometimes gets shafted because a lot of people won't even give AIW. And I hate to compare the two, but I mean AIW, you said yourself, is a very big influence, and they've been around longer, so I think that's easier to pull examples from. But even people won't give AIW like their due for bringing in like these new, or not new necessarily, but like these old guys are like Glacier, or they brought in like Dean Malenko to do a training, or Arn Anderson and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, they're just trying to bank on old guys. Where I feel like you actually put them in positions that are realistic, like Nick Gage and Jimmy Lloyd versus the Faces of Fear is like, who the fuck would have ran that? And like
Me.
Yeah, and you did it, and it's just like, I mean, Nick Gage, like that's one thing I want to ask you. How is Nick Gage?
He's awesome. He's the coolest guy. He's fun to be around. Like he was like very personable and like talking, and he was just, I don't know, he was a cool guy. I liked him.
Yeah, I mean he's such an enigma to me. Just because he has like the past, and like he has the very limited social media presence, but every time he does tweet, it's amazing because he's just like, I'm live streaming fucking Fight Club tonight, 1:30. I'm going to beat some guy's ass.
He makes every tweet worth it.
Yeah,
and the whole thing with like AIW, why people like don't put them, because they're not doing the super indie bullshit. Like that's what everyone wants to do. It's like, see, I have AAW about an hour from me.
Yeah.
And all of the talent from AAW is not allowed to work my shows because their promoter, he's a little man baby named Danny Daniels, and he didn't want them to be on my shows. So he told them all to pull out, which is fine. I don't care, because there's like, that's a good thing about being a promoter right now in 2017 is like there's so much talent.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. Like so it's
so much easier to get a hold of them just because of social media. Like you don't have to search the backwoods to find somebody's number.
I'll send letters like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
like it's awesome. Like you could find anyone. You could, I found like Gunnar Miller like through Twitter, and different people through like mostly Facebook Messenger, and like it's cool. Like every week, like I was saying, like because there's a whole certain wrestlers upset about leaving you on red, where they send, because I get 50. Maybe more a week of different wrestlers wanting to work.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, here's my 8 videos. Watch them all. But I mean, I work at a steel mill. I work, 60 hours a week. So I'm just a busy person. I have a family.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch all that stuff. And, I find who I find, and like someone like Kevin Koo, who's kind of in this area. He's like, Southern, but like, when you see something in someone, like you could tell immediately, like, wow, this is someone I use. And like, and then that's another good thing about like the Facebook Messenger is like you talk to these people and like you kind of get to know their personality, and that's everything, because someone could be very skilled in the ring, but at the same time it's like, they're a piece of shit, like personality, like they suck. It's like, oh, you're really good in the ring, but like I hate you. I don't want you around my family, you know. So it's because it's we run it just. Like it's a real small operation. So
yeah, and I love it. And like I've seen pictures from your event. Obviously, I watched the whole first event, and like it seems like you're getting a lot of support in the area. Like the first show looked like a legit sellout or close to a sellout, and like the second show it looked good. I don't know about your next show, but I mean I assume it's going to do really well, and it's just cool to see that support because I think even your casual fans, to an extent, want something new and different. Like
we have a cool thing with the Domino's. Like, make sure you guys go to Domino's, everyone. Domino's, Northwest Indiana. They're the best. But they put our flyers on their pizza boxes. Like,
oh, wow, that's awesome.
For a few stores, like, in the area. So that kind of helps get the word out. And then, like, I have people that will take flyers out and take posters out. And then we do it, like, you know, like my fiance and our kid. Like, same thing. Like, we'll go out and, you know, take flyers out. We'll make a day of it. And just, like, you know, like, there was a fair before our first show. Like, you know, we'll do things like that to try getting the word out, because it's like I don't feel like a lot of people still do that, is like getting out there, because they count on like Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, you know, we're drawing people, but I feel like we earn it because we have to, like, because no one knows, like, who am I? I'm nobody, and the company, we're nothing yet, but we could build that, because I know once I get people in the door, they're gonna see a good show and they're gonna want to come back.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny you say that. That's kind of what we're doing, like, with this podcast. Obviously, not to as a big an extent. This isn't near as big an operation as a wrestling company. But, like, you know, we had, like, little business cards made up. And, like, I really like... yeah, there they are. And
Thank you.
I
thought you said these were little. This thing's heavy.
They're made
of
3
concrete.
pounds, yes.
Yeah.
Each card is 3 pounds. But it's one of those things, and, like, I know I like to see it where... somebody believes in their product so much, they're like, I'm willing to go out, interact with people, talk about it, tell them about it, and hopefully they check it out. Like, that's what I like so much. Like, I feel like Elgin is doing that a lot in Glory Pro. Like, I mean, he has like a street team, and it's cool. Like, it's a lot cooler than a lot of these companies go like, and I get the approach they're going for, but they're like, get us 75 retweets and we'll announce a talent. And I'm, okay with that approach, but I feel like that's all they do. Like,
yeah, that's the Sammy special.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the whole thing with like Elgin believes in people.
No, absolutely.
And like that's the thing. Like most of his roster are young guys that he trained, and he believes in them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was a couple years ago. It might even be just over a year ago. He was up real late at night on Twitter and was like, you know, all these great guys, no one's using them. You know, we need to start this. And it all happened like in like a 48-hour period.
Yeah.
Of where he's like, we're gonna call it Glory Pro, and we're gonna do this belt, and he like had designs like real quick, and like he believed in it, and he was willing to put his money where his mouth was.
Yeah.
And look at that company now. They're growing.
Showed.
Like, they have a show in February that's almost sold out in February.
In February. And they're bringing in, Tetsuya Naito from New Japan, and, like, he's wrestling AR Fox. Like, that
Absolutely.
match would have never happened anywhere else.
Of course, it would never. But, like, he believes in AR Fox. And that's another. It's just, that's all you have to do is just believe in people. Because they're, like, that's the biggest problem right now is, like, if you count on the same people always, no one's going to get anywhere. No one's going to go anywhere.
Absolutely.
So you have to try, like, I bring in different people every show because, like, hey, I want to see what they look like, But there's people that, there's, like, I have dates until August, and, like, there are maybe 5 people that have every single date just because, like, there's certain people that, like, I know have to be on the shows, like, I mean, clearly, like, my my main event in December, like, Tom and AJ Gray, they're going to be on everything because they're great, and I believe in those two. They're awesome, but it's, like, just try new people. That's all it takes.
And I mean, that's what I love. And I mean, obviously everybody has their favorites. Like, and I love seeing guys like the Carnies and I've only known Nick and Kerry for a little over a year.
They're
but
great.
Yeah, I mean, great people. Like, we hit it off like really fast at a New South show in Hartsville, Alabama, which is just a little bit south of here. And like, they were just great people. But like, Kerry in particular, just because I've talked to Kerry more than Nick, is so passionate, and I love seeing those guys so much. Just getting out, like, I mean, just since we had them on the podcast in August, they've worked beyond, but Black Label, CZW, Shakara, and they've been working all these places. And it's just so cool to see that effort be rewarded, and like them getting shots in new places or like your established places and stuff like that. And I love that there's still promoters out there willing to take chances on talent that aren't your same 6 or 7 guys.
Yeah, because there's people I trust that tell me about these people. Like, hey, watch this. Like, like there's people that send me messages, like, and I don't know who they are, and they have footage, from a cell phone from a football field away from the ring. It's like, and I'm trying to like see, because it's hard to, but like, there's like, a few people that are like, hey, check out these people. Like Tom Green, he's at Not That Tom Green on Twitter. He told me about the Carnies like before I had seen them, and then I checked them out. I was like, these guys are great.
Yeah.
These guys are great. So I'll use them as much as I can because they're awesome.
Yeah, like I mean, I have a friend coming down from New York. Sam is coming down.
New York.
Yeah, he's coming on a road trip down here, and I know one of the big draws was the Carnies because he saw him. They saw the Carnies work Dynamite Cup, which was Tom's charity show. And
yeah, that's where I saw them first.
Yeah, and Sam was like, this is awesome. And like Sam had been down here before. He came to the Carnies weren't even on SEL last year. He came somewhere down here and saw the Carnies at some point last year. And he was just like, I love these guys. And like Kerry's legitimately one of his favorite wrestlers. Like Sam believes Kerry is a top 10 wrestler in the world, and Sam watches a lot of wrestling. So, and I trust Sam's opinion.
Of course.
And it's just so cool. And even like other guys, like you're bringing in Trip Cassidy, the third Carney for the next show, and I just think it's cool. Like I hate fanboying at you, but it's so cool to see. I remember when the first flyer came out, and it was Black Label Pro, and it had like Keith Lee versus Sammy Guevara and Tom Lawler versus Matt Riddle. I was like, wow, that sounds really cool. And
everyone thought we were Canuck Pro, though.
Yeah.
Everyone thought we were fake.
That's
like,
it.
No one thought that show was going to happen. I know it. I had to tell people, like, and some of those wrestlers, like this is for sure happening. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I had everyone's flight early, all that stuff, like, hey, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And when the whole, like, Canuck Pro thing happened, it made us look like shit. But luckily, our show had already ran, So our second show was supposed to be the same date as their first show.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, when all that happened, we were already up and going. So
yeah.
They, people knew that it was actually a real show.
Yeah, like I know so many people and Canuck Pro just reeked of fake, money mark, whatever you want to call it, where they were like, yeah, we're bringing in people from the UK and New Zealand and Australia, and I'm like, that's a lot. You had to win the lottery to run that show.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
the travel's what's killer, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's, get carloads. That's how you can make it work.
Yeah.
But like those international flights are nuts.
Yeah, and then I know they were planning on running like a tag team tournament, and they had like the Carnies in it, and Southern or South Pacific Power Team, and like CCK, and I'm like, that's not a cheap show. Like, you must really, and they were announcing it like 10 months in advance.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, is it going to happen? And then I remember when Black Label came around, I was a little skeptical. I'm like, man, there just seems like a lot of guys like faking it. And then like I believed it, and I talked to Dylan a little bit, and Dylan's like, no, like it's for real. And then I think we followed each other on Twitter. I'm like, I think this is a real thing. And then you ran your first show. I saw gifs of it first from Powerbomb, and like it's just so uniquely shot too. I feel like
Swerve Video.
Yeah.
Anyone that is filming that needs their wrestling show filmed, contact them on Facebook or wherever, or on Twitter. They're the best. And like my ring guy, it's rentawrestlingring.com, but I've known the guy, his name's Merle, forever. He's the best, and he like helped me with my lighting. Like, I wanted it a certain way, because it's like, that's another thing, is like the way certain shows are shot. Like, I just think like it makes it look like, low grade, and like you could do it. Like, I don't put a lot of money to make it so it films that way. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you just light it a certain way, and it works out.
Yeah, it just gives it a.
And I got lucky. The building had that like crazy laser thing that shoots the Black Label Pro like on the side of the wall during the whole show. It's nuts, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
So it's it's
and
just
it's unique. Different. Like no one else really does that, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize with wrestling promoters. It's not just getting the wrestlers there to wrestle. It's a whole ass production, like lights, cameras. You gotta have the ring, obviously. A lot of people just assume that's like, oh, you can just buy a ring. They're cheap. Rings aren't cheap. That's why a lot of people rent them.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what, like what you were just saying, like that's what causes me anxiety. Mm-hmm. Like legit anxiety is the whole rest of the show. Like writing the show is like, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I could use this person this way, and like we could do this story and all that stuff. But it's like, I admit that I'm bad at delegating, and I try to do everything like on show day. So I'm just such an asshole, and I don't mean to be like, and I'm not, like not to people necessarily, but like my poor girlfriend or fiance, like, sometimes like I know that I'm not the nicest to her on show days because like I need all this stuff done, and and it's hard to run the back, and like luckily I have people in the front now that I trust that could handle, because that's the money that's what's paying for everything.
Yeah.
So I gotta have that, and it's like So I don't worry about concessions and all that other stupid shit now. I just am going to stay in the back and run the show, and that's it.
And that's. I mean,
it's still stressful.
Yeah, don't get
the lighting has to be a certain way because yes.
I'm sure it's insanity. Well, Mikey, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you
for coming on. Plug anything you want to plug.
All right. Go to Amazon.com and pick up the full season of Full House.
Hell yeah.
It comes in a box that looks like the actual Tanner house. Also, follow me on Twitter at BLP Mikey, and the company's at B-Label Pro. And on Facebook, I think it's like facebook.com/Black Label Pro Wrestling, I think. I don't know. Just look up Black Label Pro. You'll find us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, and
Thanks.
I wish you nothing but success.
Thanks.
All right, what's up, everybody? Tanner back, All You Can Hear podcast. I'm joined this time by Kerry Awful, 1/3 of the Carnies.
1/3, yeah.
1/3. I mean, yeah, you gotta,
True.
yeah. I mean, working a bunch of trios now.
Yeah, hopefully more. Especially we'll do one tonight at this Scenic City Invitational Trios edition. Just got back from Beyond Wrestling. I'm actually wrestling trios matches for the rest of the month, at least one day of a week in a month.
Yeah.
It was trios last week, trios this week tonight. We're all three of us are going to be in a match with Bo Crockett, who's the fourth Carney at Nova exclusively.
Yeah.
And we're doing a Survivor Series match then, and then we're doing a trios match at Black Label Pro against KLD, Danny Adams, No New Friends, and then one of my favorite people, Kevin Koo.
Yeah. I mean, we just had Mikey on the podcast.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
He's here?
Yeah. No,
Oh.
he came down for it.
Cool.
But I want to talk about all the shit you and Nick and Tripp even have done since the last time you were on, because since a lot of shit has happened in those last 3 months. I mean, you guys
Very
worked
true.
Beyond and CZW and Shakara, and you've went up to Battle Club a couple of times, and I kind of just want to talk about fucking busy 3 months. How are you awake?
I'm not. I miss my wife terribly. We live with each other, but it's almost like I talk to her more when I'm gone and on the phone and texting her. Because she works and goes to school, and I work and wrestle, and I train people now and travel, and it's exhausting. But that's part of the sacrifice, right? Like Full Metal Alchemist, law of equivalent exchange. So, it's been cool. It's been because Tripp's starting, now that we've got Tripp to a place to where he's branded and people understand who Tripp is,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got the Matt Bourne face paint, and he is starting to find himself as a wrestler instead of being the fullest potential version of Tripp that he can be, and he's getting on these really cool shows in the Northeast and everything now. He actually just got announced for Battle Club, and as you can imagine, we're with this guy named Darius Carter, and that's not our normal trios.
Mm-hmm.
But Tripp got announced, and up in New York, they're already talking about, how does he factor in? What's the deal there? And it's cool, and I've known Tripp from when I first started traveling. My first match at IWA Mid-South, and we became friends. We were in that scramble together. Dale Patrick's did an Asahi moonsault and brained himself on the apron, and the match went to shit. And me, Tripp, and this guy named Joseph Swartz were like, fuck it, let's take it home now. And we became kind of buddies then. The next time I was in the main event in a double dog collar match with Ox Harley and Corporal Robinson, which will pop some people. And you should get it on Smart Mark DVD, support Nick Manawa. And I bled really bad in that match. And Tripp was the first guy in the locker room to take photos of me and do aftercare and clean me up and help me figure out if I need to get stitches and all that other stuff. It's cool. It's really cool because Tripp's always been Robin to someone else's Batman, and he's always had to play dad. A lot of people don't know he was Billy Rock's first student, and he was dating Ruby Riott when she became a wrestler. And when she goes to WWE, because she was super talented, super over, and Billy just recently retired. He had his last match with Tripp a year ago. Tripp was kind of left to be den mother, and all those kids are really talented, but no one ever really took the time to highlight Tripp. Tripp was always the guy who was someone's support in angles and stories.
Yeah.
And when someone had to take a big bump, it was Tripp. When someone had to lose a match, it was Tripp. And I talked to him, and I was like, hey, man, let's make you Batman. Why don't you join up with Nick and I, and we'll do a stable or whatever. We'll figure out something. And I got him a tryout at AWE, and I told him, like, hey, don't be a hero, and don't worry about anything else besides that, and just get over. And gets over. And I kind of talked to them, and they kind of talked to me, and we get together, and we put them in the group with us. And it's grown into this thing where it's, we even talked about calling ourselves like the Dark Carnival, like we're ICP or something zany like that, and I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
To hell with that. You're one of us. You're a Carney. And Nick and I were already like kind of over, and to see Tripp get over and not be looked at as a lesser than part of a team, but an equal part has been super rewarding. And to get to grow on that journey, like I don't always get to see Tripp, but I talk to Tripp every day. And working on ideas every day and doing stuff every day. And it's rewarding now that from the last time we had the trios here at SCI proper to being, one of the most talked about matches against our longtime rivals, the Viking War Party.
Yeah.
I've wrestled every incarnation of the Viking War Party possible, and we've never had a third man. And for the first time ever, people are like, oh, God. Not only do they have a third member, it's a third member they team with, and he's really good, and the Vikings are really good. So it's like super neat. It's been wild. It's the things you dream about, right? So like unabashed, I am the stereotypical. I was the fat kid on AOL and wrestling chat rooms, downloading super Jacob stuff and going to PWIs and cutting out photos of Reckless Youth or whatever.
Yeah.
To going to those places and wrestling and working and getting over or not getting over. But it doesn't matter because I have my moment in time. Like in a year, I've checked off so many things of my personal bucket list. I've wrestled at CZW. I've wrestled at Ring of Honor. I wrestled at Chikara. And if you would have told fat little 15, 16-year-old Kerry that not only would he be a wrestler, but he would wrestle for the best companies in America and get to live that life, he probably would have called you a liar. It's surreal, and in a lot of ways it's what you want it to be, and in a lot of ways it isn't. But at the end of the day, it's something that I've got in my scrapbook for life now.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, and it's validating, and you work so hard at something for so long, and it feels hopeless. And before you know it, you've done all this stuff, and you don't take a time to step back and be like, whoa, this is really freaking cool.
I've told this story numerous times. I told it the last time you guys were on, but I remember the first time I met you and Nick. It was at New South last year, my first indie show ever, and it was so cool just to see because we had talked on Twitter a couple of times before that. But it was so cool to be like, oh, like you're Tanner and blah blah blah, and then you introduced me to Nick, and that was cool, and it was it's so neat to see wrestlers not have that mindset of you got to be semi-jaded all the time. Like I understand it to an extent, but just to see them have that interaction with the fans, and obviously you guys have like a fantastic Twitter presence, which I think is very important in this day and age. And it's so cool to see you guys get so many just in the last 16, 17 months I've known you guys, just get so many opportunities. Like you had the match with Mustache Mountain up in New York, and it's awesome, and it makes me super happy to see my friend. Like I consider you guys friends.
I consider you one of my friends.
And just to see my friends succeed, I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Just I don't know, it makes me very happy.
I was telling them about it and about doing this podcast on the way up here. In wrestling, you're gonna have a lot of people that are negative to you and a lot of people that are positive to you. In wrestling as a whole, and this is including more so the boys or whatever you want to call it in the locker rooms or whatever. I was taught at a young age in wrestling from Dutch. If you can count your friends on one hand, your real friends that will care for you in or out of wrestling, that's 4 more people than anyone else will ever get. I don't subscribe to the thought process or the beliefs that the boys are above fans. I don't even like calling them marks because you guys are real people. How many times you care about Kerry Cooper? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Kerry Awful's fun and good, and he's a character and a wrestler. But like when I got married, that overwhelming support and congratulations from everybody, Mm-hmm. After we wrestled Mustache Mountain, It wasn't even the fact that we got that cool opportunity. Like Nick and I were sitting at a buddy's house up in New York, sleeping on some air mattresses, and I got emotional, not because of everyone's proud of the match, but the moment, like, we always knew that they could do it, or they're good people and they deserve this because of that. There's a genuine friendship there. Now, I could be one of those dicks that says, yeah, you're marks and you're going to buy my t-shirts and blah, 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 blah. But guess what? Fuck that. They're dicks.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm a fan of wrestling and I'm a fan of awesome people.
Yeah.
And because of that, I don't think that there should ever be a divide. It takes a village to raise a child, right? So why not have people on my journey and grow and learn and experience it with me, either at the shows or on the internet or vicariously through that. And at the same time, when I'm watching you on your personal journey, we talked a little bit off there about the stuff you're going through.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because I'm seeing you go from a guy that I tweeted with to professional gains in your personal life.
Yeah. That. So and it's so cool because even if you told me, because I mean I became a fan a little later. I was 12 years old when I became a fan, which is old for a lot of people. They're like, oh my god, like I got out of wrestling in middle school. I got into wrestling in middle school, but it's so cool. Like if you would have told like 12-year-old Tanner like, oh, one day like you'll have like wrestler buddies and be like, oh fuck, no, fucking liar. But now like I consider a lot of you guys like legitimate friends, and I think we have like a really cool friendship. And like even though I only get to see you guys like I've seen you guys actually a lot this year, like 4 or 5 times this year, which is more than normal.
Which is crazy because literally this time, maybe not this time last year, but maybe this time last year. Before New South, we were just internet buddies.
Yeah, I mean we were just Twitter friends. I think you followed me or we followed each other because of Dylan.
Yep, of course.
Dylan comes up so fucking much in this podcast. I hate it, but
he's the power broker of the internet.
He's literally the common denominator in everything.
That's how I said it a second ago. I'll say it now. Ricky, who's sitting here and he doesn't have a microphone. He was doing wrestling school in New York, and his trainer messaged Dylan because he was moving to Tennessee about someone to finish his training. So Dylan instantly put him in contact with me.
Yeah.
And the last 2-3 weeks, been hanging out, texting, talking about wrestling, talking about life, talking about our wives, talking about real stuff.
Yeah.
And Dylan's a common denominator of that.
Yeah.
If Dylan not told his original trainer that, would have never known. And now we know that we have mutual buddies like Colin Delaney, for example. Like, it's so funny that like, in another life, Dylan would have been one of the greatest CEOs of a company making deals.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a shame that he's not making millions of dollars on a professional level for a company like WWE or Ring of Honor or even Evolve. You know?
Because Dylan's, I mean, one of the, everybody in here will vouch for it, I think, if they've met Dylan. One of the nicest people I've ever met. Like 14-year-old Marky Tanner emailed Dylan, 7-8 years ago, was like, hey, can I get your match list? Because he made like a WWE match list. I was like, can I get that like via
spreadsheets? Those
fucking spreadsheets. I was like, can I get that? And he was like, sure. And like, I was like 14. Like I was a nobody. I didn't realize who Dylan was at the time.
Yeah. Well, nobody really does, and Dylan's so humble.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll be like, oh yeah. They're like, oh, I saw you on the forums in like the 90s. And he always makes fun of me. He's like, oh, you were a child in the 90s, and people still joke that I'm a child now. But
I was joking with Rhett Titus the other day about like I introduced him to Papa when Papa and Dylan came down to Ring of Honor one time, and we were in the back. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about tape trading, and Rhett's like, oh, Dylan sounds familiar. And I was like, oh, I used to tape trade on whatever forum it was. And he's like, I think I've traded tapes with him before a decade ago.
Yeah. And it's so cool that somebody like Dylan is in like this community. I don't know how it lucked out to end up like that, but Dylan's a great guy.
Life's cool like that, man. It's all about time and circumstance and realizing the blessings that come into your life. Like, I was telling them about how, we're friends. And I was telling them, like, hey, I needed to study for TV matches. First person I hit up was you. Tanner, I need a list of X amount of tag matches that are TV only. Give me about 15 minutes.
Yeah. Literally sent you a Google Doc. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And that's what real friendship is helping people out. Just like if you needed something, oh yeah, I got you.
Well, just like you coming on the podcast, I mean that's a huge help for us.
This would have been what I did if I got here anyways, except without microphones.
Kerry just wanders into the room, starts.
And shit, that's what I did last SCI. I slept on Brandon and Rex D's floor.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a hotel the first night. And I was like, we got nowhere to stay. And they're like, we got pillows and blanket. And I said, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I woke up hungover.
Oh, yeah, you guys did the podcast directly after that. The little inside baseball there, but yeah, you were fucked.
I was trashed. The off-air stories were the real good ones.
Oh yeah, the one in particular from Friday night. Woo! But
just watching everyone just jaw dropped in the middle, going no.
Don't tell this to a room of 80 people, and then you did. It was really good.
Yeah.
But no.
What am I gonna do? Not get booked? I'm already not getting booked.
Don't be so hard on yourself, Kerry. You're great. But I guess that's pretty much that covers it. You got. I mean, obviously, plug your shit.
Wow, we've got time.
Let's go.
I've been on here for 10 minutes, brother. I like to talk.
Okay, let's talk. What do you want to talk about? I'm fine with it.
So, trios matches. How stoked are you for tonight?
Oh, six-man tag, most purest form of professional wrestling, easily.
Here's some inside baseball. The woman who trained me after Dutch Mantel, Tasha Simone, 3-time NWA Women's World Champion, trained by Chris Adams, mentored by Eric Embry. She was booking a show that got canceled outside circumstances, and she's going to be there tonight. Dutch taught me a lot in wrestling, and she taught me a lot too in different ways. And so I get this full circle moment where she's going to meet my female trainee and my male trainee, and they always hear me call her mama because she is like a mother to me.
Yeah.
And how cool is that? She literally goes, I'm going to go to the show, and she's so old school. So old school. I mean, just to a T. And she posted on Facebook today, I'm going to go mark out for my kids.
Oh, but that's like one of those like sweet moments in wrestling that like, you couldn't fucking write that if you wanted to. Like, it's just one of those like really cool moments. Like, she's going to see you and getting to work a group of guys you've worked so many times, like the Viking War Party.
In the best possible place to work.
Yeah, and like, I'm sure you saw the picture Dylan posted yesterday of the venue.
Yeah.
It's a fucking dome.
Yeah, it's
insane.
It'll be a big fight feel for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited. And like, last time, Nick liked to joke around how he does WWE hardcore. He did a fucking stage dive, so I don't know what the hell.
Tonight, who knows? I mean, it's a first round match, so we're going to have to save something for the second part of it. But then again, with the Vikings, it's all or nothing. It's there will be no headlocks. There will be no test of strengths. It is going to be a fight from the word go. Yeah, that's like I was telling them. The second show I ever saw you guys at New South, it was you guys versus Viking War Party. It was Rudolph and Parnell versus Roscoe Eat Lisa. And like New South is a very Southern indie,
very kid friendly. And like you guys went balls to the fucking wall. And like one of the things I remember the most is one of the guys from Roscoe Eat Lisa is on the top rope, and I think it was you. I think he was waiting to jump on you, and he goes, "Fuck you, Kerry," and like nothing but 8-year-olds in the crowd, and
then just mortified.
I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like I remember I leaned over to my brother-in-law. I was like,
I don't know what's going on.
That was a little rough, but no, I mean it was like.
I think I did a tope in that match.
Yeah, you did a fucking tope.
I did a tope.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't the time and place for that, but you just busted out.
Well, it was because you were there. I got to pop you.
Oh, yeah. You got to pop the boy. I remember the first time we met in person after your match, which you guys wrestled, I think it was Baron and Odinson the first. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
That sounds right.
But I remember, and you guys won, and I was sitting in the front row, and you came over, and we exchanged the sweatiest hug of all time. I was like, I've known this guy for 10 fucking minutes.
Yep.
And like,
and now you got my sweet DNA on you.
My sweat's all over me, so that was great. And then it was so funny. I was talking about Nick earlier, and to Mikey from Black Label Pro, and Nick. The first time I met him was very reserved and was like very quiet. I'm just like, boy, was I wrong?
Yeah.
Because Nick is like, I feel like now he makes you look like the quiet one in comparison. Absolutely. Sometimes. Where Nick is just like outgoing and like he lives the gimmick.
Yeah,
he lives the fucking adorable gimmick. I don't know how many chants happened in City Cafe after SCI.
Oh, I know. I passed out. I was like, I gotta take a breather.
But Nick came in, ate some fucking nachos, got chanted at for about 20 minutes.
So
didn't even pay for the nachos. Somebody else covered his ticket.
Oh, that's dope.
Not me. I'm not that much of a mark. But
that's not being a mark. That's good brothers.
No, that's good brothers taking care of good brothers. But it was so funny. Like it was like walk in, cause shit, leave.
Yeah,
and that's
classic
exactly
Nick.
what. Yeah, it was fucking awesome, and like obviously you guys are like two of my favorite people in the world now.
Funny story, SCI is where you got someone's glasses. It might have been Michaela's maybe, and someone said he looked like Jeffrey Dahmer, and guess what? He bought a bunch of those glasses.
Yeah.
And that's part of his...
And he does the Dahmer
Yeah.
shtick now, yeah.
And so, like, it's one of those little things that hanging out with your buddies, you know, goofing off with your buddies, and everyone's like, you kind of look like Jeffrey Dahmer, and that's such a profound part of who he is as a wrestler now.
Yeah.
And
And it
it's
like
so cool.
and it fits in. It's not like it's something totally random from y'all's gimmick. Like
Mm-hmm.
it totally fits into like the whole like we're a bunch of traveling rogue carnies. Like it totally
Absolutely.
fits in. And I don't know. I just love you guys so much.
I'm gonna wait till I do something zany. Like, I'm sure it'll be something zany tonight after, because like, here's my plan for tonight. Being emotionally drained and running on empty for the last 6 months, 4 months, whatever it is. Like, this is my little mini day vacation.
Mm-hmm.
My kids are gonna go see some cool wrestling and get to learn a lot from a bunch of different mentors. They're gonna see how we hang out with quote unquote fans and realize, like, no, this is a family. We're all friends. We're going to eat some delicious cake and not cheesecake, you son of a bitch. I swear to
You
God.
know I'm getting a piece
I'm
of
gonna
plain
put my
cheesecake tonight.
finger- So, City Cafe, for anyone, and I know this has been covered before, is known for their cakes. To buy a cake is like $40 or $50. What kind of cake are you going to get? Oh, I'm going to get the Coca-Cola cake. What about you? Oh, I'm going to get the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup cake or whatever. Tanner gets on the internet. I'm going to get cheesecake.
Plain cheesecake.
Yeah, plain cheesecake. Not even flavored, decorated with anything.
Well, here's the thing, and a lot of people don't. So the first time I ever came to City Cafe was after Scenic City Rumble in March, and that's when they put us all in the conference room.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, but they put us all in the conference room, and they were taking everybody's, and there was like 50 of us,
Yeah,
and they were
there
just
was
taking
a lot.
a
I
lot.
was drunk.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah. And they come taking orders. I'm like, I'm not going to make it hard because Devin Hales had just tried to order some type of cake that I was going to order. And then they were like, we're out. And then he didn't. He ended up getting a cake. I'm like, I'm going to do something easy. I know they got it. Plain cheesecake. I ordered plain cheesecake. I get it.
I wanna boo you right now.
Again, Nick fucking Iggy out of nowhere. Tanner, is that plain cheesecake? And like him and Stutzy are like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you even here? And I was like, what?
is such a dick.
Keep in mind, first time I'd ever met Stutzy was at Scenic
Really?
City. Was at Scenic City Rumble. Yeah.
Y'all
And-
didn't tweet or nothing, or was it just
No.
first time? Really?
yeah, we didn't even like follow each other till I think right before Scenic City Rumble. Yeah, it was
Wow.
crazy. But the first time I'd ever met Stutzy in person, he's just like shit talking to me. He's like, "Why did you order plain cheesecake?"
Classic
He was like,
Stutzy.
"They have a whole menu dedicated to cake, and you get this." And so I just made it my gimmick. I have to get plain cheesecake now.
Why is it Animal Crossing? It should be the return of the plain cheesecake.
It should be, yeah. Yeah, with 50 characters and for Twitter names now, you might as well get all your shit in.
Mine's gonna say, please don't ever book me so I can stay home with my wife at Kerry Awful.
This is not my email address. Please do not book me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A fun moment about fandom and stuff. So, like, prime example about, like, not being a dick to people and not being an overbearing wrestler. So the Brits don't like us now, or 50% of the Brits
Sure,
don't like
yeah.
us, right? And they were like, oh, that British strong style match is just, that's not even their top 30th match. And then a lot of y'all went to bat for us. And I could have been out there and said, listen here, you dumb British mark, and been a dick and whatever. But that's stupid. I remember tweeting at Dan, and I like Dan. Like, he actually retweeted something where we were, like, geeking out over Eddie Guerrero, like, 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And I tweeted him, even though he was, like, super bummed about it. And he's like, no, this is political. They go up. And I was like, hey, man, I'm stoked you didn't like the match, realistically. Because at the end of the day, a guy in England who I may or may never meet watched me wrestle.
Yeah.
If you would have told 13-year-old Kerry that, his mind would be blown right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's... Instead of going to this old boy mentality of like, oh, we're better than people, like, fuck that. Like, even if he hates me, dude, he took the time of his day to watch that match.
Yeah.
How dope is that? And he also makes great gifts. Even
Yeah.
if he probably won't acknowledge me saying that. I love watching his gifts.
I mean, it's so weird how Twitter has given this rise. I need to grab my phone real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Making sure. You know, we got a book here. It was from Nick.
Of course.
But it's one of those things that's so cool is like seeing the type of interaction you guys cause. Like, so
Twitter is 100% in you, Dylan, Frey, Papa, the Rex D, Brandon. I mean, there's just I cannot list Michaela, JJ. You know, I mean, there's just such a list of people. I say it openly on every podcast, every interview I do, every aspiring wrestler. Directly, there's a correlation between y'all waving our flag and us getting to do what we do.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys would be like, yeah, this is all my hard work. And sure, like, did I work hard? Absolutely. But I would never be in the position that I am in had it not been for the kindness of people waving our flag.
sure.
People saying, hey, these guys aren't just shitty Southern wrestlers, or hey, these guys have something, or hey, these guys' merch is cool, or hey, they're fun to hang out with, or whatever. And people can say, oh, they just do that because Kerry's friends with them. I'm not going to deny that I'm friends with them.
I mean, I had watched you guys wrestle before we had ever interacted on Twitter once.
Oh, dude, mind-boggling to me. The same thing for Dylan. Dylan watched my shit matches at USWO on YouTube, which is embarrassing but awesome because USWO, a lot of people don't know that. Chuck and Ricochet, when they were 16, couldn't wrestle in Kentucky, so they drove to Tennessee to wrestle at USWO. Jerry Lynn was their champion. The random dudes that would come in there. The Gentlemen's Club came in there one time, even, like, just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird because, like, before knowing me, y'all knew me in a different context. And getting to know us now, it's so wild to me. Like, it's awesome. Like, the fact that you watched me wrestle before we were friends blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I feel like nobody watches me wrestling, and if they do, I would advertise them, or advise them to not. But it's cool, man.
Yeah.
And wrestling's cool, and friendship's even cooler, and real relationships with people is the fucking best.
I mean, I'm about to inflate your ego a ton here, but I
Please
know.
don't.
Well, get ready. So Sam is coming down from New York.
He watched the NWA Saw stuff.
Yeah, and like Sam fucking loves you. Like Sam is the biggest mark for you. It's insane. Like Sam has told me on numerous occasions, because we do the whole award show at the end of for We Don't Know Wrestling. Check that out, by the way.
Plug.
Plug. But he has told me on numerous occasions that you're like one of the top 10 wrestlers in the world. And
I don't know about that
And
at all.
Sam, I feel like, he's not a part of the Southern. I mean, he lives in fucking New York. I don't know if he's might have met you once or twice.
Yes,
but like
once at AWA, I think, and then once at an SCI weekend, maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't even know, but like Sam has no obligation, because I mean, Sam will speak his mind on Twitter, like, and talk shit about guys he does not like,
especially Canadian destroyers.
Yeah, especially Canadian destroyers, which
except
by the
for
way,
ours, because it makes sense because they throw them.
But it does make sense. But if somebody could hit a shoot Canadian destroyer tonight, that'd be great, because
I might do it just to pop them.
Please do, but it's just one of those things. Like, I mean, he lives in New York and like such a huge fan of both of you guys, but I mean, he just like loves your shtick. I mean, he loves your offense. I think you have one of the best offenses in professional wrestling.
Thank you. So Sam writes this article about Billy Corgan taking over the NWA, and that's NWA was our first local promotion with local TV and internet presence, and really like did some cool stuff. Russell Tracy Smothers had a feud with Primetime Brian Lee, and I never knew that he watched it. I knew he knew who he was, but I didn't know the context of it. And I read this article where he's pleading the new NWA's case with Billy and Lagana. And I've talked with Lagana a little bit in DMs. And I worked for Billy back when he owned Resistance. And Billy and I have a difference in... We had a moment that was not very good.
Yeah.
And then... which is fine. He can have his opinions about Taylor Swift, and I can have mine. And that is, for anyone who's in the know, will know why that's an actual part of the story.
My God, I need to hear this.
Yeah, that'll be for an off air. But Billy's cool. He's done some cool stuff for my friends like Josephus. But I read the article where he talks about watching these NWA Saw matches. So he saw me when I wore Samoa Joe knockoff bikers into being a white meat babyface, into me and Nick being a tag team, into being a boy into his dog, into being pseudo wannabe super indie wrestlers, into seeing us be unapologetically Southern, into becoming Carnies, and by not being super indie style wrestlers, I guess that's what some people would call us now. And to see us from point A to where we are now, I don't want to say Z, but it feels like Z because I'm getting close to the end, is a journey that not a lot of people will get, but it's cool because it's like watching your neighbor grow up in high school. it's like watching your favorite Star Wars movie from beginning to the end of Return of the Jedi. And it blows my mind, and it's so humbling that's the deal. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like people like talk shit about Twitter, but like Twitter is such, I don't want to say essential tool to
In this day and age, absolutely.
but it's an essential tool to independent wrestling. Really independent anything, musicians, artists, everything.
Clothing lines.
Yeah, I mean it's everything, and I remember, again going a little inside baseball here, but I remember I think it was last year. I think Kurt Stallion was in the car with you and Nick, and I knew Kurt Stallion was in the car with y'all because he had tweeted something about it, and then I noticed he followed me on Twitter and he followed a couple people on Twitter. I'm like, oh, Kerry's fucking putting us all over right now, getting this getting this young kid to follow everybody on Twitter, but. Like and Kurt has got a lot of again Dylan Hale's fucking tastemaker here, but
Buzz generator extraordinaire.
Yeah, absolutely 100%. But it just look at somebody like Kurt. Like this year has been, and we'll talk about this when Kurt comes on the podcast. But Kurt has had a pretty insane year.
With semifinals of a Ring of Honor top prospect.
Yeah, I mean, like I made the finals of the SCI, and
absolutely hit the moments with him and Riddle in that match.
Yeah,
the exchange, man.
And like killing it in Glory Pro, and champion of Southern Underground.
Going to AAW for Jim Lynam. That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, he's been to Canada several times this year, if I'm not mistaken.
He gets booked regularly by Ethan Page at Alpha One.
Yeah, which is, I mean, insane. And it's just like what's next for all you guys, and that's what I like.
I will tell you what's next. My goal in wrestling is to get Nick Iggy signed. I will finally go home and disappear. I'll make a new Twitter that only y'all have. I'll pull a fray. And
New York Mike.
New York Mike. All hail. And from that, I will still talk to y'all, and I will disappear. And idealistically, my goal right now is to provide for my wife who's in college. And if I'm not making money and if I'm not making upward movements, my original goal in wrestling was to see how far I could go before I had enough and didn't think I could go anymore and still chug along. Mm-hmm. And it was to make Tennessee not the laughingstock of professional wrestling, because before Nick and I came around, it was America's Most Wanted. The Naturals were the last team, and they didn't really do the super indie hustle. They did the TNA go.
Yeah.
It was to make Southern wrestling a point of pride and not an embarrassment. It was to take people to use the word carny derogatorily and say, fuck you, you're right. If you're going to call me one, then I'll be one.
Yeah.
And now it's to make wrestling a better place, at least in the areas that I can control, whether that is teaching people at wrestling to not just be a brother wrestler.
Yeah.
Or if it's to, like, I don't know if you hear this, but it's not publicly known. Like, I book PWF now. That's why PWF, the last show they did, I've been booking minor angles, and I officially took over as head booker. And all my culmination of work came down to the Primus, and it was the most successful event they had. All their digital content is now branded and marketed the right way, and they put videos out every day because I do them. I don't do the live show edits, but I took control of all their social media. I want to do what's right about wrestling and not just have exhibition matches and tell genuine, heart-wrenching stories. And for anyone listening, you can pick up PWF on High Spots Wrestling Network. It runs in the arena in Jeffersonville, Indiana. It is for fans of super indie wrestling with Southern storytelling, and it is something that I think is missing from wrestling, and it's a chance to show people I'm not just a wrestler, I'm a storyteller, and that's something I personally take pride in my own work. With me and Nick Iggy, it's not just, oh, cool Canadian Destroyer, it's a moment.
Yeah.
But anyways, I want to do what's right, because before wrestling, I was a punk rock kid squatting in an apartment, going to school, doing horrible life choices. I had nothing to live for, nothing to get me off stuff. And as much as depressing as wrestling can be and as awesome it can be, wrestling, in fact, saved my life 1,000%. And because of that, in the way I was taught by Dutch and Tasha, it is my job to do in a lot the same opportunities for people who genuinely want to learn and grow. I was a boy before professional wrestling. Wrestling taught me to be a man and to have discipline and dedication. And when I had no home to go to, it gave me somewhere to drive to. when I had negative influences trying to pull me one way, wrestling said, no, you've got to come to this show instead. You've got to make this video instead of go to this bar. You've got to put your priorities straight. And because of that, I own a home. I have a beautiful wife that to this day, we are polar opposites, and I have no clue how God granted me such a wonderful thing, and I cherish it. And I want to be able to do that for other people. Cheap plugs, because we are gonna have to get out of here now. I want to talk a little bit longer.
Well, yeah, you cut your fucking promo of the year, so yeah, let's get to it. Plug it,
brother. I said you put a microphone in my hand, and you're gonna get a lecture. Follow me on Twitter at Kerry Awful. On Facebook, we have a fan page because my Facebook's been maxed out with 5,000 people for about 8-9 months. So every now and then you might get on the Facebook, but if not, subscribe to it. I think it's public, and you can comment and like and everything. I just can't follow you back, and that's just till Facebook changes the limit. We have a fan page for the Carnies that I've slacked on because it's just the least of my priorities with everything else in this world. You can go to my Instagram at Kerry Awful. On Twitter, we also have a tag team one at the Carnies TN for all the fun banter, T-shirts and merch, because that's Nick's and I bread and butter. ProWrestlingTees.com/the Carnies, FullyGimmick.com/the Carnies. And not only on Fully Gimmick can you find Nick and I, you can find Trip Cassidy merchandise too. Go to our YouTube. We have tons of content as private right now because I don't want to upload everything and then people get lost in the mix. Highlight videos, promos, interactions, and fun bonus content that is coming out because maybe we'll just swap over. Instead of trying to get contracts, we'll make a Patreon and just be truly DIY punk rock.
Yeah.
And go highspots.com, get Pro Wrestling Freedom, and enjoy the journey that we're about to go on that. All the wrestling shows that you can see me at, there's too many for me to name, but I support all independent wrestling. Get Smart Mark Video, Powerbomb TV. Shout out to Adam Lash and the amazing thing he's done.
Oh, absolutely.
It's brilliant, and it's changed the landscape of wrestling. High Spots, also, I mean, a monthly fee to get that much wrestling a day or two after the show.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I remember taking 7-10 hours to download a 3-minute video, highlight video. Make sure you do all that. And if you're at a show, come talk to Nick at the merch table. Since he's the carnival barker, normally he works the merch table and I hide out. But if you catch me and you catch me at the right moment, say hi and we'll talk about life. I hate talking about wrestling. I want to talk about life. I don't really hate talking about wrestling. I love wrestling with every iota of my being. T-shirts, plugs. I'm going through the mental list here. Normally I have a spiel.
Yeah.
With all that, like, we had some cool matches. Chikartopia just dropped our phenomenal debut for them. You can see our debut where we ran in on OI4K and then had a match over for CZW at czwstudios.com. They've been up for a while, but you can get we had a Ring of Honor match for Future of Honor you can see for free on YouTube. Support that because that helps add revenue and the cycle for them. And, of course, you can pick up a DVD of their house shows where we've had matches there. And just support wrestling and have fun. Shout out to Battle Club. Shout out to Black Label. Shout out to all the cool people that book me. And for anyone who wants to book me, don't, because I don't want to wrestle. I'm just kidding. Book us so I can get Nick to the Fed and call it a career.
Thank you, Kerry, for coming on. Thank you. It's been great, as always.
Thank y'all. Bye.
What's up, everybody? Tanner here. All You Can Hear podcast. This is going to be our last little segment of our Scenic City Trios special, and I'm joined by Patrick,
how we doing?
reoccurring guest at this point, and joined by Justin, first time ever.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be here on. Did
Did
I pronounce that right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
well. Sometimes the Y is silent, so you just go straight up like like
gotcha,
that.
gotcha.
So I don't know what that's.
Is it a Scottish podcast?
Yeah, this is actually the Scottish podcast.
Aye, laddie.
Wow, you're bringing the impressions. But so we just got back from the show, and I want to know, what did you guys think of the show?
I had a great time. It was a blast. It was probably one of the best indie shows I've ever been to.
Yeah.
No, it was fantastic. It was a very good show.
So, like, what other? Because I mean, I know you two have been huge wrestling fans. What other? Yeah, this is their first Scenic City event. Let me preface by saying that, because I feel like the Scenic City events are in their own little universe. On occasion, just because, like, you know, they only run a certain amount of time a year. They're all fundraisers for local high schools and all that, and they have their self-contained stories that don't really spill over anywhere else. But just for comparison's sake, like, what other indies have you guys been to, or what are the wrestling shows in general?
Well, for me, I've been to SmackDown a few times. Of course, that's WB, this very high production. But as for indies, probably be Ring of Honor 2 years ago, and that was pretty good. But I feel like there's definitely a different sort of brand of character when it comes to Scenic City.
Yeah, it's a much different. The Southern wrestling crowd is a much different crowd. I was talking to somebody. He came down from Indiana. It was Mikey from earlier, and he was like, "This is just such a different crowd." I'm like, "Southerners will eat wrestling up. They think it's real, and it's great."
Wait, it isn't real?
Well, hold on.
Wait, no. Now you're going to tell me that Santa's not real either.
He is real.
That's right.
Santa is real. Wrestling,
That's right.
maybe not the most real sometimes. Maybe not. But it's, obviously you have your shoots and everything. But Justin, what about you, Kev? Like, we've only talked a couple of times. I've met you one time before you came here.
Yeah.
So, like, what's, like, your wrestling fandom kind of look like?
I've been watching since I was 8 years old, so
Yeah.
22 years now. Started with the VHS tapes that I'd rent from Blockbuster, and steadily watching since then. WWE mostly. I enjoy New Japan. For local stuff, there's one show called it's GCW out of Birmingham.
Global Championship
I
Wrestling?
think it's global. Yeah, I went there because Gallows was there once.
Yeah.
Back when he was tag champ. And there's a smaller show in Piedmont, which I don't know if you've ever been to Piedmont, but if you have, you wouldn't remember it at all. There's a Taco Bell and a KFC in the same building, just to give you a good example.
I love it.
That's the sort of town you're in.
Yeah.
Went there because they had booked the Young Bucks, but I think Matt had his second kid, so they got AJ Styles to fill in back when he was IWGP champ.
Now, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, did he wrestle Jimmy Rave?
Yeah, he wrestled Rave.
Yeah, I've seen that show.
It was good.
I
It
bought
was
that
good.
match.
Mhm.
But no, yeah, and it's cool for a lot of people from different walks of the fandom to kind of gather for this, because I like obviously like your two fandoms are much different from each other, and then like to me, because like if it wasn't for Twitter, don't know if I would still be a wrestling fan anymore, just because I love that interaction with people and I love talking wrestling with people, and I feel like if I didn't have that outlet to talk wrestling anymore, I wouldn't be a fan, and here I am, I've been a fan for 10 years. So it works out. But I don't want to go through match by match. We won't do that. It's spoilers ahead for Scenic City Trios. If you don't want to be spoiled, if you want to watch it on Powerbomb TV, when it goes up, do it. But if you want to be spoiled,
And listen afterwards.
here we go. Yeah, listen afterwards. Yeah, give us your listens, please. But I want to know first, what was your favorite match from round one? First 4 matches. What was your favorite?
That would have to be the Nightmare Mob versus the Rat Pack.
Yes.
Yes.
The Rat Pack. That match was really good. I love the Gymnasty Boys like whole shtick of like we're high schoolers but we're not, and like we're just gonna do a bunch of crazy shit we shouldn't be able to do. Like Timmy Lou Retton can move like a man his size should not be able to move, and White Mike
Very acrobatic. I was very impressed.
like very insanely athletic, and it's really cool to see. Justin, what about?
That was same match. That was my favorite match of the night.
Wow.
Yeah, I found the Lynch Mob on Twitter during the first break just because they're crazy good.
Yeah, Joey and Matt, really cool. Really cool guys. I've had the opportunity to talk to Joey a few times. He's really cool. It's going to sound like favoritism. My favorite of the first round, I love Carnies Vikings. I love just how like batshit wild it was, and like they went around the whole venue and destroyed a table and destroyed several chairs, including my own, and destroyed Wenzel's chair. He's saying to me right now.
Mine was leaning funny after they got done with it.
Yeah, and like I had to get Dylan to get me a new chair. 'Cause I'm just like, if I sit in this, it will break, and I will be embarrassed because I'm on the camera side. So please help me. And but no, it was just like I didn't expect them to go that crazy with it. I expected them to do crazy stuff. Don't get me wrong, because the Vikings and the Carnies. But I didn't expect them to go, hey, we're going to break a table, and we're going to break like 10 chairs, and we're going to throw fire. And I'm like, it's a charity show for a high school. Why?
Well, why not give him something to remember? I just thought it was funny that they're like moving like the more sensitive people out of the way. Like there's a father and his son. They were moved to the side, and like some older women and some just like I guess particular people they moved to the side because, like you said, they were fighting over Hill and Dale and just like smashing each other. And like, didn't one of the Vikings come out with a chainsaw?
Yeah, one of the Vikings came out with a chainsaw. Disappointed it was not used. Understand why, but
Well, he might have lost it when he threw it in. It went clear through the side of the ring.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure they would like Dean Ambrose like $20 or something.
yeah, because the Ambrose, that was like his thing. They were like, "Come with the saw blade," and a lot of people were like, "How does that work?" They just take the chain off. It doesn't hurt when you just get rubbed with it.
I'd like to point out that Terry Funk used the chainsaw before Ambrose.
Well,
chainsaw Charlie.
Of course, but
Because he wanted to wear pantyhose and team
Yeah.
with Cactus Jack while not being Terry Funk, wrestling legend.
yeah, so good. God, I love Terry Funk. Let me tell you, Terry Funk, if you're listening, please come on AYCH.
I hope to see one of his retirement matches someday.
Right? I think he's wrestling again soon. I know he retired for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure he's wrestling.
Well,
Like
this
next
last
month.
retirement was a retirement from that particular place.
Yeah,
That's not his retirement like
Yeah.
the last 6 retirements.
yeah.
So he's going to retire again any day now.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll get to catch
He
him.
wrestled Jerry Lawler, I think, of his last year, and it was awesome because they just like old man punched each other for 12 minutes, and then the match ended with a fireball. It was awesome.
Of course it did.
Yeah,
It was Terry Funk.
It was fantastic. But no, like I love that. Like I love the interactive shtick of we're gonna fight in the crowd, so you're gonna be like in it. It's like I don't know. It's like going to go see a 4D movie opposed to 3D, I guess. But yeah, there's like you can feel everything. Your chair broke. Oh no, and it's really cool, and I really like that visceral feeling that sometimes wrestling's missing.
I did feel bad for the security guards.
I did too. God, it is so loud outside. Like every vehicle ever is going off. I don't know if it is coming through, but I hear it. But yeah, I love that match. And so your favorite of the night was Rat Pack versus Nightmare Mom. Was that your favorite of the night as well, Pat? Or did you have a match?
No, that was definitely my favorite of the first round. But the Carnies really grew on me because I really like their. I'm a gimmick guy. I really do like their just over the top characters and because the Lynch Mob they were great, but they're definitely more skill than like hey, we have a character we're trying to put over on top of our stories.
I don't know if you guys know, for real brothers. They are.
No, I noticed when they had the same last name on their
Well, I mean,
headshots.
you could be Kane and Undertaker aren't real brothers, Pat.
What?
No. Stop peeking behind the curtain.
Wait a minute. No.
Because there's a house fire and
Their parents died and Kane came back to life.
After Kane realized that he wasn't going to be a dentist for the rest of his life, he looked into the family history and then came back.
Oh my goodness!
Well,
he wrestled
Isaac
in Japan
Yankem.
first. He wrestled like shoot style for like three times. I don't know.
And he was a Christmas tree.
Yeah, Christmas tree, and then Luke Gallows came into the company and was fake Kane for a little bit. Wow, what a
Poor
bunch
fella.
of gimmicks! But so you like the Carnies, I assume?
yeah, they really grew on me. 'Cause I know they're kind of like close to home with the podcast, but so I came in wanting to like them, and they won me over. I really do appreciate them.
Yeah. So I feel like I don't think there was a bad match tonight. I feel like everybody worked really hard, which is really cool because sometimes wrestlers be like, oh, it's a charity show, and it's not like I'm working the smarks or whatever, so I don't have to do a bunch of crazy stuff. Joey Lynch did like 7 moonsaults.
Yeah, there were a bunch.
I can't read that. Bring it to me.
Through the
Oh, I can't see. I'm blind. What does it say? Nerds. And it says keep dancing.
supposed to be like, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, this visual gag does not translate to an audio
this visual
podcast.
gag makes no sense. I've already told you I was blind. I can't read.
Just give me back my stuff.
But that's our new soundboard.
I hit the fake save button.
Yeah, but no, I think it was a super fun show. I didn't expect Team Glory Pro to win.
Yeah, that was surprising.
That was weird. Weird booking.
I thought it was also weird booking for reasons we get into, off the podcast, but political reasons. But it was very odd, I thought. I liked it for shock factor. I thought it worked well.
Oh, yeah, no, the crowd deflated like a beach ball.
because the first swerve was when the Carnies lost. And
Yeah, when the Carnies lost, and it appeared, I don't know if Kerry was working the crowd, but it kind of looked like he hurt his ankle.
Because he was pretty desperate to get that boot off. He seemed like
Yeah.
he was legit
He was
hurt.
hobbling for a good 5 minutes before that finish.
Yeah, so...
He was hobbling pre-show before the show even started at 7:30, before bell time.
Yeah, so like he might have hurt his ankle. Like I'll try to dig around for that and find out.
I
But,
think I was the only person laughing at that finish though, because as soon as
oh my god!
the Kurt Hawkins looking guy ran in and did that backslide pin,
Oh, I love
and
Gary J.
he's great.
Yeah.
He's my favorite from that team. But as soon as that happened, everybody else was like, "What?"
Yeah,
Because
And
it was so quick. It's just like
You just hear me going,
and it's so weird because I felt like this was the Carnies to lose in a way. Just, like they're the only trio that's ever been in the Scenic City universe ever, and then especially with Team Glory Pro, they're the only non-Southeastern team because they're based out of St. Louis. And I know some people are like, Missouri's the South. Well, kind of, I guess, but St. Louis is not the South. It's the Midwest. Let's not kid ourselves. So it was kind of weird in that, again, for shock factor, I thought it was really cool. And then when, they did the final Nightmare Mob versus Glory Pro, I was like, oh, this is Nightmare. They're all local. They all literally, like, Joey and Matt are from Chattanooga. I don't know where Kyle lives, but I know it's in Tennessee. So I'm like, it's theirs to and then Glory Pro goes over again. I'm like, huh, okay.
and see, I pretty much figured the Carnies were going to lose as soon as Nightmare Mob won. Cause,
I thought that was the final.
yeah, well, I mean, they were the two most over teams, and if you're going with classic Southern booking, you're not going to have face and heel. And Glory Pro were working heel from the first moment.
Yeah.
That poor guy in the red tights,
Oh, yeah.
that first match, just
by
got-
that boy new rib cages, he was dead.
God, I don't
And
think he was selling. I think he was dead, just murdered.
And it's so weird because I know that Team Southern Underground Pro, which I think had a great showing, AJ Gray, Kevin Koo, and Jaden Newman, they kind of had the whole shtick going where Kevin Koo is from like the Knoxville area, AJ is from West Tennessee, and then Jaden like went to high school somewhere here. I don't know if he went to Hickson, but he's still like a young kid. He's like 19 or 20, I don't know. But he went to high school somewhere here, so that was kind of cool. But I think the whole like them working heel was like, we're gonna work over the local babyface, and it kind of worked. But then second and third match, they worked babyface, and it didn't really make the most sense. And then they had the whole like emotional like we won and the whole thing. I don't know. It was weird.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they were so blatantly heel in that first match.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Crowd wasn't going to get behind them if they tried to. They could have gone out and kissed the babies before their second match.
Yeah.
Crowd was still going to hate them.
Yeah.
Except for that one lady who really did not like that lead Carney.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the feud of the night. It was between the Carney guy and the lady in the pink.
I
She
have
was
seen
not happy.
I have seen before fans in the crowd want to fight the actual wrestlers on tape. I've never seen it in person, and I went to WrestleMania weekend this year. Like I went to like 13 shows over 4 days. I've never seen it like it was tonight. Like that lady wanted to murder Nick Iggy, and it was awesome.
And every indie show I've been to, there's always been at least one person who wanted to kill a wrestler.
See, that's
Because like Mania weekend, that's a crowd full of smarks from all over the world. They're going to talk about work rate before they would. Oh, he looked at me funny.
yeah,
But no, this is Alabama and Tennessee. This area, this is Southern.
it's awesome.
Old ladies are going to swing canes every chance they get.
I
'cause,
love it.
Well, that's a local favorite. You're being mean. Play fair.
Yeah, I love it. It's so weird that, again, I was talking to Mikey about this, but it's such a weird, even just comparing like a local like Indiana crowd and a local Tennessee crowd, so much different, like on tape, live, whatever. And I don't know, like I don't want to say it's easy to start a wrestling promotion in the South, because it's not easy to start a wrestling promotion anywhere, period. But like, if you make it, they will come sort of situation. Like Southerners love this shit, and I don't really know why, but it just resonates, and everybody thinks it's real. It's really good. It's like, imagine the whole state is a state of little kids and wrestling Santa Claus. They refuse to believe that it's fake.
Well,
Why would they? We went over that.
Hold on.
Santa's real. We discussed
we
that
did
not
discuss
10 minutes ago.
Did you say a whole group of kids wrestling Santa Claus?
Listen, what? There's somebody, it's Nova Pro. They're booking a show. I don't know which show it is, but Santa Claus is wrestling on it.
There you go.
We're driving up to Virginia.
You know, Santa got hit by a car on SmackDown that time.
Yeah, and then last year on Talking Smack, Santa Claus came and it seemed inebriated on
Yeah.
Talking Smack. I don't know if it was true. He was with Heath Slater. That was a really good bit.
Did you ever see that Santino Marella promo where he was about to reveal a dark secret about Santa and John Cena stopped him?
No, I don't think I've
You
ever
have
seen
to
that.
look that up. Santino was a gold mine of fantastic.
No,
great
I love
things.
Santino. I've never
Yeah.
seen that.
No,
though.
this was during Glamourella.
Oh.
I think it was the first time he ever said John Chena.
Oh yeah, John
and,
Chan.
and John almost cracked right there on camera.
Yeah.
Look that up.
Oh,
It's amazing.
I will.
That's not just for you. It's for whoever's listening. All
All
7 of your viewers.
Hold on, no viewers.
700
It's
podcast listeners.
Cody's rubbing his nose. He's getting really excited.
8,436 million people who enjoy
I think on that note, I mean, we talked about. I mean, final thoughts on the show. We critiqued the booking. We talked about the matches. But any like final thoughts? Is there anybody you're like, after seeing, you're like, I want to see more of them?
Definitely, obviously more the Lynch Mob. Definitely more the Carnies, and like just a lot of the other smaller guys, like AJ and
yeah, AJ was great.
I think I a lot of their names escape me because it's just
Yeah.
like
I mean, there's 24 wrestlers. I
yeah,
understand.
but there was, like I said, there wasn't a bad showing. There were definitely some matches that were a little bit slower, a little weaker, but all in all, it was a top to bottom a great show.
Yeah.
But I did want to mention the biggest pop of the night, or the 2 biggest pops of the night. One came for plugging the barbecue sandwich at the high school, and the local coach doing a stunner.
Yeah, the head football coach at Hickson High School hit a stunner on Cyrus the Destroyer's manager, and I have never seen people just go from dead to losing their shit. They
They blew the roof off. With
like
that
it
stunner.
was crazy. It was insane. Like it was an insane reaction. It was awesome, and pretty good stunner too. I mean, and
Wasn't
the,
bad.
and the
The
guy
form was good.
and the guy bumped for it, and like he did it properly. It was really good. I don't know.
And I've seen worse stunners from the president
Yeah, I've seen Donald Trump take a stunner worse than that guy
and the
did.
head
so.
of the Small Business Association of the government.
There's a lot of people in the White House that have been stunnered by Stone Cold, and also too many people in the White House that are in the WWE Hall of Fame. That's my take on it.
What a time to be alive.
That's my take on it. All right, well, thank you. If you guys want to plug anything, plug away. Absolutely.
If you're ever in Tuscaloosa, come to the comic strip on Hargrove Road. I own the store. Give me your money. I'll give you comic books and statues and toys and recommendations. And I'll tell you how Roman Reigns is destroying the current booking of the WWE.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to have a conversation about that. All right, Pat, do your plugs.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at John Lost His Name. You can follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art.
All right, and you can follow me on Twitter at Tanner11495. Yeah, that's right, Tanner1495. You can follow all you can hear stuff. Check us out on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music. We're on Twitter, AYCH Podcast, Twitch.tv/all you can hear. We're on what else are we on? Instagram. We're AYCH Podcast, and I'm going to plug everybody else. Wenzel's Twitter at Wenzel Wilkie. Colt's Twitter. What's your Twitter?
It's Winsy Wilkie.
Oh, Wenzel's Twitter at Winsy Wilkie. Colt's Twitter at ColtD88. And Cody's Twitter at CODDOC11. Thank you, and have a good night.